Well, hello, everyone. It's a great pleasure for us to share this project analyzing the reflective practice in EFL student teachers in a distant program with all of you. Thank you very much. We are going to talk about the research problem and main objective, the main theoretical references, the research techniques and instruments, and obviously we're going to come to the end with some results and discussion.
This research project, the analysis of the reflective practice of English language student teachers in a distance education program, is based on the undergraduate program in English language teaching, the BA in English language teaching at our university, the Universidad Autónoma del Estado de México, in the Facultad de Lenguas. This program was created in 2000 as a flexible program. This was before the university had the platform for distance programs. And in 2003, it was restructured to be presented in a distance mode. We were recently reaccredited in 2020. The program lasts in an ideal format for 7 semesters, and students have up to 12 semesters in order to finish their studies here. The whole program is based around the reflective model of teacher education and professional development of Wallace, but we have found that there is no clear cross-curricular access in the real curriculum of the BA program, that is, in what is going on in the daily practice of the teachers in the different courses. What we want to do with this undergraduate program is both legitimize and professionalize those who are currently working as English language teachers. They are in-servicing English language teachers, but have not gotten any kind of a degree or professional training, not professional training, but a professional recognition and certification from a university in this area. And so the question comes up as to, is reflective practice actually important in the area of teacher education? And of course, we find that the clear answer is, of course it is. This due to the fact that the process of teaching and learning is extremely complex, and that there is no one single way in which we could prepare the future professionals in English language teaching by giving them simply formulas to follow. And so reflection is obviously an important part of teacher education.
Well, the main aim in this research project is to analyze the reflective practices in student teachers in this BA program through identifying the mental processes that give rise to decision-making processes before, during, and after teaching episodes, in order to produce an inventory of reflective practices to be used as a cross-curricular basis in the BI program. This is an ongoing project. We haven't come to the end of it, but we are going to tell you about this in the next slides.
Our main theoretical references are the following.
Yeah, we have Michael Wallace, obviously, with the reflective model of teacher education and professional development, which consists of the 2 main stages, pre-training and professional education and development, which entails the reflective cycle. And obviously, it aims at the professional competence as a dynamic goal, continuing growing goal.
Another one of our main theoretical references, Thomas Farrell, and his framework for reflective teaching practice based on the 5 stages that are shown here, looking at our philosophy, our principles, which would include assumptions and beliefs the theories that guide our practice, are looking at our own practice, decisions made in action, on action, for action, and then beyond practice, looking at how what we do has influence beyond simply what is happening in the classroom. We are also using Akbari et al. As a reference for an inventory of reflective strategies. They categorize these in 6 different classifications, from practical, cognitive, those that focus on the learner, metacognitive, critical, and from a moral standpoint.
And we have also taken into account Paul Ashwin's work, along with other authors that have focused on reflective teaching in higher education. And they organize these reflective teaching in 5 principles. The first one, becoming reflective. The second, creating conditions for learning. Then teaching for understanding, reflecting on consequences. And the last one, deepening understanding. We're going to take the 4 first one in order to share with you some results.
The design of our methodology is a qualitative phenomenological approach to a collaborative action research project. And the population that we are looking at are both students and teachers who are working or participating in the undergraduate program in English language teaching. Students coming from the 2nd, 4th, and 6th semester. This would be of an ideal 7 semesters, so those who are just beginning and those who are almost at the end of their studies, as well as teachers from the areas of teaching methodology and linguistics who participated with us, making this a more collaborative action research project. Some of the techniques and instruments that were used were online focus groups. These have already been carried out. We had one at the beginning of the semester, which started in January 2021, ending in June, one midway through the semester, and another focus group at the end. We held the sessions separately for the different semesters and also for the teacher collaborators, not only to make the groups smaller and more manageable, but also to make them feel more comfortable and more coherent in giving their answers to our questions. Some of the other research instruments that we used was a questionnaire and entries in a reflective journal, and as well as the focus groups. The questions that we used are based on items that come from Farrell, Akbari, and Ashwin, basically of our main authors that we are using as our theoretical framework. In the focus group, to give you an idea of things that we asked that would have some kind of connection to Akbari's practical category. In the practical category, this is, what do I actually do to reflect? We asked the question, how has the feedback you received from your instructors during this time influenced your reflective practice? In the area of his cognitive category, which is how we find out more information, reading articles, for example, we ask them, when you want to understand a new concept better, what do you prefer to do? Ask a teacher or a mentor, or perhaps find a video on YouTube. We know that the majority of people nowadays prefer that type of input. Or do you look for and read specialized articles? In his category of looking at the learner, which is the more affective aspect of reflection, what changes have you noticed in your learners as a result of participating in this project? And here I would like to share with you some of the answers that we received in this respect. Most of our participants mentioned that they had seen a greater interest that their learners showed towards their class, as well as more confidence. They felt better participating in class. This might be a reflection of the teacher's own change in attitude towards their students when teachers feel that their students can succeed. Students perceive that. We haven't actually classified it in this way, but it's one of the possible ways of looking at this comment. When we looked at the metacognitive question, how has the exercise of reflecting on your beliefs, your assumptions, and paradigms impacted your teaching or your way of looking at your role in society and your decision-making processes? We received answers such as, it has helped me realize situations that I was not aware of before. When preparing for class, I noticed not exactly errors, but in areas where I can make improvements, which is a very important part of a reflective process, not to focus only on errors and what is wrong, but to analyze everything that is going on and recognize what is going well, what could be going better. These are just a few of the results that we have received in these two categories.
In regard to Paul Ashwin and other authors who focused on reflecting on higher education, first of all, we have some initial results on becoming reflective. And here we have two main veins of principles, identity and learning, in which we have obviously the results of the metaphor by which they manage to associate themselves with objects, animals, even other occupations, in order to highlight this capacity of transforming themselves, to adjust themselves to different contexts and levels and situations and types of learners. They were also raising awareness of how they were becoming closer to the exit profile characteristics that are established in the BA program. The significance of roles as a professional teachers, and they spot out some critical incidents that had some impact in their way of identifying themselves with a profession. They also know the ideal competences of ELT, but they were also admitting that they felt competent already and that they were practicing some important values as a part of not only their personal life, but their professional one. The second main vein is where we have reflection and principles. And along with what my colleague was saying, they could identify strengths and weaknesses of their practice, and they could write about their experiences and self-monitor. That was important. And obviously, they were able to identify their beliefs, paradigms, principles regarding effective teaching and learning. Then we have creating conditions for learning. And first of all, we have context and relationships. So modification of the practicum, changes in learners due to participation in the project. They were aware of how their learners perceived their changes or their betterment in their practicum. The analysis of how their history of light was shaping their teaching, and as I'm going to say to mention in engagement, they were admitting, for example, this isomorphism phenomenon, and where we have these previous learning experiences having some impact in their way of teaching, the way they learn, the way they teach. So they were conscious of this history of life, and they admitting becoming more flexible and conscious of their differences in the educational contexts. Well, here in regard to engagement and spaces, they highlighted the importance of being innovative and creative, to question themselves, to participate in action research in order to modify their practice, and obviously to look for more academic sources to get more information. And they also admitted that it was important to have a sense of satisfaction when they were offering appropriate teaching. Okay. And then teaching for understanding, this has to deal with a curriculum design and implementation of the curriculum, where we have planning, teaching, communication with others, and assessment. They were looking for support among each other, and they were looking for this peer coaching and now observing each other, doing extensive reading, and they were more conscious about the importance of focusing on students' needs, interests, and leisure activities, to even ask the students about their opinions on their class. And finally, in regard to reflecting on consequences, where we have the quality and inclusion principles, we have something very important, that is the raising awareness of the locus of control and critical incidents, both in positive experiences and not so successful teaching experiences. Also, they were more aware of the importance of including students from different social classes and ethnic groups. Very briefly, the results of the questionnaire focused on writing about teaching. It was important, teaching practice experiences, more self-monitoring in order to move away gradually from mechanicism, promote self-construction, and increase communication with colleagues, reflecting on principles, premises, and beliefs, and obviously to foster the construction of professional identity.
As some final comments, we'd like to go through a SWOT analysis of what we've been doing so far, what has been happening so far. As my colleague mentioned, this is an ongoing research project, so we are not finished at all. But we have found that the engagement of both educators and student teachers has been extremely important and made a positive impact on their teaching practicum. We have found other researchers interested in what we are doing, and have been very interested in what they have been working on. And by looking at the concepts of both reflection and reflexivity, this has given us a greater understanding of the scope of being a reflective practitioner. The fact that people have been participating in our project has promoted this construction of professional identity, and especially a sense of belonging to a professional community, which is extremely important. And this last one is a little different because it has both fostered the student teachers' involvement in action research projects and participation in academic events, both attending and doing some presentations. But they also felt that they were not ready to take off with action research projects on their own or do something that might result in any kind of a publication, which is very understandable for an undergraduate to admit to. The opportunities that we see here are especially for the restructuring process of our curriculum and in participation with other partner universities and other institutions. This has been very, very positive. Not everything has been seen through rose-colored glasses. However, not all of the people who initially volunteered to participate have gotten as involved as we would have wanted. We found higher rates of participation with some of the techniques rather than others. The time constraints and communication constraints due to the pandemic and lockdown have also affected what we've been doing. And we have not yet been able to look at the differences according to the semester levels of our students, those students who are at the beginner level and those who are almost ready to graduate. As far as the threat aspect of a SWOT, well, funds for continuing the project is always something that is looming over us. And so we're not exactly sure what's going to happen when this year-long project ends, which is coming up very quickly. Here are a few of our references that were mentioned here and we've been looking at in our project.
And well, thank you very much for attending this conference. We were very glad to share this with you. And there you can see our email accounts in order to write or send your comments to us. Thank you.
Thank you so much.